Hello and welcome to the Autodrome, the Istanbul Park, just outside the city that links East and West. Europe and Asia come together at the Bosphorus, across the Golden Horn, the bridge that links the new city, the old city, and the Asiatic city of Istanbul. Once the home of the Ottoman, the Holy Roman Empire, and now, of course, the bridge between Eastern and Western cultures. This venue, 2 weeks ago, hosted Turkey's first ever World Championship race. It was the Formula One Grand Prix. Already, Turkey holds the FIA's off-road World Championships as well. And now the World Touring Cars come to this pivotal part of the European continent. Well, this is the hilly venue outside the city of Istanbul that Herman Tilke has designed, what has become hailed already as a real classic. Alex Zanardi on board with him as he takes us around the circuit. He's saying, turn one, very difficult. You brake without seeing the turn over the brow. Second gear, then straight away into third. Climbing uphill, this is towards turn 3. Braking again without seeing the turn over the brow. Try to stay as close as possible to the inside. Brake rapidly down into turn 4. And now heading downhill once more. Up into 5th. You hardly touch the brakes in the 5th corner. Keeping it in second gear, accelerating into 3rd and 4th. And this is up towards turn 7. Important braking area, downhill into a second gear turn, up into a hill. This is sort of like Imola backwards there. Climbing again over a brow into turn 8. Balancing the car on the throttle, very difficult. 4th gear, on and off the gas. You're constantly working to keep the car online. 5th gear at the exit. Using the manual gear shift, of course, in the BMW. Down into turn 9, big overtaking area. Very fast approach, very tight corner into this left and right sequence. 3rd gear off the second element, then up through the gears, heading towards turn 11, again over a brow and downhill into turn 11. This fast approach, all the cars will be absolutely flat out, 240 plus kilometers an hour. That's up to 260 in a good tow. Heading down from 5th into second gear. And this final sequence, second gear through turn 12, just a dab on the brakes and then a dab back on the throttle, squeezing the car through. And heading out of turn 13 across on the start-finish line. So yesterday qualifying didn't go so well, but I won the second race in Oschersleben and I'll hope to do the same today. Well, it is definitely a very demanding track in front of these drivers, David Leslie, and as they get waved away on the green flag lap, a chance to show the grid. This track certainly seems, despite what is a fairly fast and flowing nature, to have really benefited the front-wheel drive cars more than the rear-wheel drive cars, and that, to me, a little bit, as a layman, is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it is a bit of a surprise. On the faster circuits, we always thought the BMWs would do well, but it seems to have turned itself around. And on the slow circuit last time out at Oschersleben, the BMWs did very well and the front-wheel drive struggled. And here on this very fast, very flowing circuit, the front-wheel drive cars really are up front. Out of the top 9, 8 out of the top 9 cars are front-wheel drive. And the top 4 are all Alfa Romeos, followed by 2 Seats. First one is Stefano Tellier, then Peter Terting. Then we get the only BMW in the top 9, which is Andy Prio in 7th place. Jean Genet with a little Seat Leon. Unfortunately, we seen this morning hit some tyres that are put out there just up in jump the chicane, and that put a big dent in the side of his car this morning. And then right behind him in 9th place is Richard Riedel. So those top 9 cars, I say one BMW and the rest all front-wheel drive. So quite a big change around in fortunes.
Couple of problems in practice as well. Bad luck for Rob Huff, whose Chevy's ring gear came off its flywheel. He didn't set a time, he will start last, bar one. And the two who have been penalised are Jörg Müller, who missed a weighbridge, and Tom Coronel, who had an engine change, and so he has been put right to the back of the grid. His qualifying time should have seen him starting in 21st place, and he has been dropped down the order to 24th. So he hasn't lost as many as the 10 places he might have lost had he had a better time in qualifying. Top of the independents then, Adriano Di Michele in the Honda Accord Euro R. He is alone in the Yasport team this weekend. Unfortunately, no budget for Roberto Colciago to come here. And the Fords, who had been hoping that this track would reward them because they knew as little about it as everybody else, unfortunately they've been as disappointed as the Chevrolets to find out that it is a power-dependent track as much as anything else, I think, because certainly the high horsepower heavy hitters, and that's BMW, Alfa Romeo, and now clearly Seat, are really quite noticeably ahead of their rivals.
Yes, it's those cars that are really fast in a straight line. And when you see the times, the actual speed traps, then it's the big cars at the front. It's the Alfa Romeos and the Seats who are right up there.
And Di Michele, fastest of all in the qualifying session, which has been the quickest session to date. So nothing hanging around with that Honda.
So that Honda's been quick. It's been very quick indeed. There was two of them earlier on in the season, because there's one for Roberto Colciago as well. But unfortunately had one of their cars badly damaged in Mexico, and ever since then they've only been running one car. And it's a privateer team, very much running on a very small budget. They don't have the budget to repair that car and turn it back into a two-car team. I think that won't actually happen until it gets to Macau. I understand they will have a teammate when it gets there.
24 cars coming to line up on the grid. Cars on the grid ready for the start of round 15 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. We're at Istanbul in Turkey, and 24 cars lining up ready to go. Among them a newcomer to the series, the new Turkish driver in the GR Asia team, Erkut Kizmilak, the leader of the Turkish Touring Car Championship. But out front, it's Alfa Romeos, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the grid. Seat's 5th and 6th, and fingers crossed for Alfa team boss Monica Sips that there are no disasters away from the start. With all your eggs in 2 front row baskets, there is that potential. It's a very wide approach to the first corner. It's a sweeping downhill left, right, left S's, like the Senna S's at Brazil. And it does invite the chance, particularly with a long run down to the first corner, for lots of overtaking action. Red lights are on, and a very quick change again as at Oschersleben. Away they go. Look for the BMWs. Well, Andy Prio, the best of the BMWs, doesn't seem to be showing well. It's going to be Alfa Romeos, 1, 2, 3, 4. Prio edges one of the Seats. That's Horikane out of the way, and he gets past Ortelli as well.
So that's him up into 5th, Ortelli's in 6th, and Peter Turting in 7th.
Well, Dirk Müller also trying to make the best of the start as well. He started from 11th place on the grid. But it's Andy Prio in the number 1 car. And Dirk trying to come around the outside, goes inside Turting, but he is now in a 4-car Seat sandwich. One of them's on the dirt, and that's Ortelli. Oh, and Ortelli can't collect it coming down the hill. He takes Turting out, and that opens the door for Dirk Müller to get through. This is an onboard camera right behind the Seat lane of Horikane. And there, again, you can see Ortelli in the midst of the Chevrolets. He's down the inside. He's got a problem. I think he's got a right front puncture. He had a big lock up there. It's the unladen wheel, but maybe it's more than just the braking.
Yeah, he got involved in there and took one of the Chevrolets wide with him. That lost him about another 5 places. So it's all changed further back. But up front, here are the 4 cars. 1 car Alfa already away at the front, and that looks like it's Tarquini away at the front. James Thompson in second, was in second very quickly. Giovanardi. He's the one who's lying closest to the BMWs in the points championship. He came past there very easily into 2nd place.
Look at that, it's easily 6 cars wide down the hill, and they're very much trying to line up alongside each other in that big overtaking area. But the really big one is at the end of the road here. Now don't forget, although Tarquini is in front as we ride with Giovanardi, he's best placed in the championship. No surprise to anybody then that Farfus and Thompson have let him get by on this first lap. Their job now, and for the rest of the season, is to defend against BMW Seat or anyone else, and that's Enrici tangling with Rob Huff. And that looked like Jörg Müller as well, the white BMW in the middle of that. Marc Enrici, the independent BMW, tangled with Rob Huff. They both went sideways, both went off, and Jörg Müller was the man who was right in the middle of that. I think he avoided damage, but it would have cost him places. So Tarquini, Giovanardi, then the tail gunners, Thompson and Farfus, Prio on his own. That's race 1. Race 2, Rydell and the rest. Rydell with Hene, Antonio Garcia, Dirk Müller and Alex Zanardi. Then Alain Menu, the best of the Chevys. Stefan Ortelli said after Oschersleben he couldn't believe how robust the racing was. He's found out just how much robuster it gets when the chips are starting to go down. Have a look again at the start. Again, very quick change of lights. Must have caught a few napping. Alfa Romeo's already working into formation. Giovanardi looking at the inside from 4th of that group as Prio just gets in front of the Seats, and that's perhaps the most important move he'll make this weekend.
And you see that was Giovanardi there, starting at the back of the Alfa Romeos, but very quickly past James Thompson and Gustav Farfus up into second place.
Well, here we go, and this is replay of lap 1 because Ortelli is right behind them there, and that all went to Helena Hancart as they got on the second downhill run down to turn 5. So a 10-lap pair of races, or a pair of 10-lap races here. Farfus just checking to make sure everybody in front of him is still wearing red clothes, and they still are. Quite sure that was all about, and here comes Dirk Müller under pressure from Alex Zanardi. And Zanardi's story of Oschersleben really quite a remarkable one. You do forget when he's racing that he's anything other than a normal racing driver. You forget that he's controlling this car almost exclusively with hand controls that have been developed specifically for him to race a touring car. And a fantastic job they've allowed him to do as well. Prio being dropped by the BMWs and being reeled in by Ricard Rydell, the best of the Seats. Here comes Zanardi putting in the move on Dirk Müller. And David Leslie, Dirk Müller here caught between a rock and a hard place. Doesn't want to lose too many points, but can't avoid, can't risk a damage and throwing any points away. So he's got to be a bit canny.
He needs to score points. Whatever happens, he needs to score points. That's what it's all about for him. And there we see number 6 going into the lead. That's Giovanardi. That was ever so easy. And Tarquini just moved over to let him past. The orders have obviously come into place now in the Alfa Romeo team. They are 1, 2, 3 and 4. And from the back of that group, at the very start was Giovanardi. At the end of lap 2, there we have Giovanardi in first place. So he's the one person who's closest to the BMWs. Alfa Romeo's trying to keep as many points to themselves. They've got the first 4 places. Now you see he's come out, he's gone past ever so easy. He's come past before the first corner.
Now, Monica Sips and the Alfa Romeo team have always done this. They've chosen their number 1 driver, and really quite early on in the season, everybody else falls into line behind him. To my mind, this is eggs in one basket again, a little too early. There's only 14 points between those 2 Alfa drivers as we see Funke going off in the Ford Focus. And that's a shame, Michel Funke going off there. But Giovanardi's only 14 points ahead of Tarquini, and Tarquini could still win the title. Peter Terting, after that collision when he got hit, they are changing the beam axle on his car, so he won't be either a contestant in race 1 or much of a threat to the points in race 2, and a huge off. Look
That's
at that.
Ortelli.
That is Ortelli going way off there. And
whoa, he's back on again, right in front of one of the Chevrolets.
Well, I'll tell you 2 things about that. We didn't see what caused it as they came over the brow, but he didn't lift either. At any stage was he lifting there? No, he was not.
And look at this. This is an Alfa Romeo demonstration. All 4 of them are romping away from the rest of them. In 5th place is Prio, but catching him is Rydell. Rydell want to move up. Zanardi's up next. Then Genet with a little new car. No, sorry, it was Garcia, then Genet. And then Zanardi in front of Dirk Müller.
Top independent Carl Rosenblad in the BMW, ahead of the factory Chevrolet of Alain Menu, flapping a bit of bumper. And again, Giovanardi Tarquini, for Gabrielli to be asked this early. Don't forget, he was champion just 2 seasons ago. To be asked this early to subjugate any chance of winning the championship to Giovanardi, as long as Giovanardi is healthy, big mistake. Maybe not. Maybe it'll turn out to be exactly the way it needs to be. When you're behind, you have to take some chances, and maybe putting all of the effort on Giovanardi's shoulders is the best chance. But here, where they've got a clear advantage, let them race. Let them race. Anyway, Alphas 1, 2, 3, 4. Giovanardi way offline. He made a mistake, and I think Tarquini's coming back. Cameraman thinks he might be as well. Well, Gabrielli's not pushing the point too much there, and Giovanardi defending hard. He got away with that, but that is exactly why you can't put everything on one man's shoulders too early. Giovanardi could have put the thing in the wall there. All right, then, sure, Tarquini would have been free to race, but if it had been race 2 of the thing, that might have been a different matter. Priaulx on his own in 5th place. David, I think perhaps you agree a little bit more with Monica Simpson with my ramblings, that maybe now the time has come to bite the bullet and get on with it and favour one man to beat the BMWs.
Yeah, they're certainly a long way through the championship. There's only 3 meetings left, including this one. So you've got 2 races here at Istanbul, 2 races in Valencia and 2 at Macau. So that's what you've got to do. You've got to now make a decision who you're going to back. Well, there's only one person to back, really, and that's Giovanardi. He's got 57 points. Next Alfa Romeo driver up is Tarquini on 43 points. It has to be Giovanardi, whichever way you look at it.
But there are 60 points on offer, and the championship leader's only got 69. I mean, starting from a standing start now, if you won every race and the championship leader didn't score, you'd very nearly overhaul him before the end of the race in Macau. But I mean, it's too small a gap.
But no, because if you look at what's happened so far, we've had, how many races have we had? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12,
14 races, 9 different winners.
Yes,
You're
We've
exactly
had so
right.
many different winners. Nobody's scoring lots and lots of points. Everybody's having a very, very hard time. So what they've got to do is get as many points as you possibly can, and nobody's getting lots of points. So nobody's going to get 60 points in the last 6 races. You're going to get the maximum, probably about 35. So you've really got to go for what you have to go for now. And when you had 1, 2, 3, 4 on the grid, it was a very easy decision to be made by Monica Sips. She had the front 2 rows. Those cars have been faster all the time. Front-wheel drive cars much quicker than rear-wheel drive BMWs. And it's only Andy Priaulx who made a very good start and got himself in front of those 2 Seats, actually went through between them off the start line and got himself up into 5th place, and that's why he's there, and that's the only reason he's still sitting there.
On board with Alex Zanardi. Down to the extreme left of the picture, you can see the gear lever, that one thing in front, that's a brake lever. Into the pits comes the 42 BMW, and this is going to be very, very important for the championship. Jörg Müller, well, coming in here now, effectively, I think is going to be out of the championship running. We saw him in the middle of that incident earlier on that took out Enrici and whoever it was, Rob Huff. And I wonder whether he did get collected by somebody there. That certainly looked as though he was going in to get some damage sorted for race 2.
Yeah, these guys, what they've got to do is they've got to be out for these races. They've only got 15 minutes between them. So if you have a problem in race 1, you really need to get yourself back into the pits and get that car fixed in plenty of time to be able to get out in race 2. And that's what they're doing. That's what Peter Turting's Seat is also trying to do. So they need to get themselves back out there. But here we are. You can see the Seats now of Genet, Chase and Rydell.
Best of the non-red cars, that's Andy Priaulx in the BMW Team UK entry, still holding on to 5th place. And I think, like at Valencia last year, the rear-wheel drive cars really with a big shock here at how quickly the front-wheel drive cars have been going. But it's particularly the Alfa Romeos, and I'm still going to wait for somebody in Alfa Romeo to say, well, the BMWs have got better performance than us, blah, blah, blah. Antonio Garcia right behind Andy Priaulx for the best of the rest in the second race going on here. So Priaulx and Garcia, 5th and 6th at the moment.
And Garcia will certainly want to get past Priaulx with this. Jörg, who's come in, obviously very disappointed to be in the garage and having the car fixed. But back in 5th and 6th place, you've got Andy Priaulx and Garcia, and Garcia really will want past Andy. He won't want to sit behind him and leave him there. I don't think there's the same sort of BMW tactics, remembering the Alfa Romeo all for one team, whereas for BMW there's 3 different teams out there. There's Team Italia, you've got the Works team, and you've got the Andy Priaulx team run from Belgium. So it's quite a bit different, the team tactics within the BMW camp.
Might be slightly different if Dr. Mario Tyson was hanging around in the pits this weekend, but I don't think he is, as he was at Oschersleben. And you see, when the big boss is around, the man who can get you fired with the heartbeat, then perhaps Garcia might just be holding station. Garcia, though, has got his own eggs to fry. I mean, he's never going to win the championship from 7th position where he is now, but he's tied on points with Tarquini and Rydell. So obviously he doesn't want Tarquini to get too far away. He's got Rydell in his rearview mirror. So for his, sake of point scoring, never mind actually being further up in the order, he wants to get ahead of Prio. Rydell has got his own fish to fry as well, though. He has got Hane right behind him, so the battle for the best Seat is there. And behind them, of course, Zanardi. So looking to get into 8th place by the end of the race from his current 9th spot. So there you go, that's 5th and 6th. The Seat battle 7th and 8th behind, Zanardi 9th. And it just needs one change for Zanardi to start race 2 from pole and win. Garcia goes ahead of Prio, and Prio, like Dirk Muller, has just got to be careful.
He's got to score points. He's got to stay out there, keep out of trouble and keep scoring points. This is a man who keeps getting into trouble. New to the championship at the last meeting at Oschersleben. He said he found it very robust and very difficult at the first race meeting. I think he's found exactly the same thing here at the second meeting. I spoke to him a little bit between the 2 races, and he was saying how difficult it was, and he was going to come back and drive a little bit more aggressively, but I think that aggressively hasn't helped him too much. He's still ended up with some damage and still back in the pits.
Dirk Muller out of the points in 10th place, so no points for the championship leader at the moment. Andy Prio is scoring, the man who comes here just 1 point behind Dirk Muller, although 2 wins behind. Again on board with Zanardi. Zanardi really, again, driving another great race, and at the moment, David, just a couple of laps away from being on top of the pile when it comes to race 2's starting order. And that, of course, is exactly what happened at Oschersleben. But I don't think that 4 BMWs or 2 BMWs and 2 Seats, or however it works, will be able to keep the Alphas behind. Lock up at the front of the queue. That was Prio.
No, maybe it was the
maybe it was
Rydell.
Yeah, I don't know.
Rydell, who just dropped back to a fraction there, but you've now got Zanardi chasing these 2 Seats. So obviously in the race, the BMWs, certainly in the midfield part, the bit we're talking about rather than right up front, are doing quite well compared to the Seats.
Oh dear, Alex got a wheel on the grass there, and it was never coming back on. That's a very long, challenging corner.
And that's where Ortelli went off earlier, so he's lost a little bit of pace on the Seats. But up front here we've now got Garcia in 5th place, 6th place is Prio, 7th is Rydell, and 8th is Genet. So if it finishes like this, we'll have an all Seat front row.
At least until the first corner.
Yeah. And they are 2 different cars, remember. You've got the 2 Seats here. One's the Leon and one's the Toledo. And the older Toledo is, Andy's locking that thing up all over the place.
He really is trying very hard indeed. I wonder whether the setting is quite what he wants from it. He did 10 laps in practice. It may well be that these are the tyres he qualified on, 10 laps in qualifying rather than practice, whereas we know that a number of the Alfa Romeo drivers, for instance, only doing 5 or 6 laps, just used 1 set of tyres and have got a fresh set for race 1 and a fresh set for race 2. There's other things going on at Seat with regard, and Chevrolet rather, with regard to keeping new tyres, not even for this race meeting, but for free practice when they get to Valencia. But the practice of using just 1 set in qualifying to keep 2 fresh sets for the race is a very common one. And it seems, I think, that the Alfa Romeos, unchallenged at the front, have been best able to do that. Giovinardi running away, Tarquini 2nd, 3rd Thompson, 3rd Farfus, 4th Thompson. But at the moment, David, there's absolutely nothing at all to challenge the Alfa Romeos. Giovinardi can just do what he likes out front, except make a mistake like he did earlier, because if he makes another mistake, I don't think Tarquini will be forgiving twice. He'll be go, right, enough of these, I go now.
Yes, they very much want to be top dog in the Alfa Romeo team, but it looks as though Giovinardi was struggling to start with and couldn't get away from them, but now he's managed to break away from the other 3 Alfa Romeos. So you've got the 1 Alfa out front with Giovinardi, then you've got the next 3, you've got Tarquini, Thompson and Farfus. But catching them, or it looks as though it's catching them now, is Garcia. He's slowly reeling in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th place Alfa Romeos. So it's a 10-lap race. We've done 7 laps already, so we'll have to see in the last 3 laps whether that Garcia can actually pull himself up to the back of those Alfa Romeos. Pretty sure he ain't going to get past very many of them, but he'll be working very hard. He's seen his teammate win a race. Last time out, Zanardi won at Oschersleben, and Garcia will be feeling that, really, he should be winning as well. So he'll be wanting to be the top BMW, and not only that, he'll be wanting to try and win the race outright.
Well, I think that's absolutely right, and certainly at the moment he is the man on a mission, and so too the recovering teammate Alex Zanardi. Eight laps in the books, 2 to go. Giovanardi, Tarquini, Thompson, Farfus, then Andy Prio behind Antonio Garcia. That is the best non-BMW. And Prio behind, Rydell easing away from Genet. Maybe now the slightly better aerodynamics of the older shape booted Toledo are helping it stay ahead of the new Leon. One of the problems that the Leon has, along with the Ford Focus, is the hatchback two-box shape, as you call it. One box at the front that holds the engine and another box that holds the occupants, whereas the BMW you're looking at has got a third box on the back that holds the luggage. The two-box shape is not as efficient through the air for a racing car as the three-box. You can see the back window of the BMW, the air flows down it and is clear at the rear wing. Gets a good look at the rear wing, if you like, in aerodynamic sort of style parlance. Well, that's probably not what they say. But in a two-box car, the rear wing is very much less efficient than in a three-box car. And as a result, the Touring Car Commission, David, is starting to look at ways of trying to balance out hatchbacks versus saloons, because certainly already Seat are moving to a hatchback, Ford are using a hatchback, and it's not beyond the bounds of possibility that a number of other teams who may want to come in would like to be using one as well. Dave Bembo there on the radio. Everybody's on the radio at Chevrolet, actually, it seems.
Yeah, Chevrolet have a big enough job keeping their straight line speed up without having a little aerofoil out the back there, trying to slow them down even more. Yes, I think even Alfa Romeo were looking at the possibility of a hatchback for next year, so that's one of the things that's being discussed. How can they balance out the downforce available from a hatchback compared to the downforce available from a three-box car, the type of car that we're looking at up front here now with the Alfa Romeo. But there's the leader. Giovanardi's coming around now, just about to start his last lap, I would think, and that'll be right behind him before Alfa Romeo's, but not that far behind is Garcia. This Garcia 1 second behind Farfus, only 1 second now. He's closed the gap down, so as the race has gone on, it's turned out that the BMWs are an equal match to the Alfa Romeos, but not on sheer speed, not on new tyres, and with them being at the front, they have romped away with it. When it starts in the second race and they're a little bit further back, you're talking about 5th to 8th place on the grid for the Alfa Romeos. If they carry on as they are now, then it might be a little bit more difficult for them to get past people like Garcia and Prio, who will be starting in front of them. Not to mention, of course, Rydell and Genet, and Rydell can be one of the most difficult people to pass.
Absolutely right. All mistake from Garcia, and Prio will take those 2 points. Thank you very much indeed. He moves up to 4th place, so no longer then any challenge. Why is he weaving the BMW, David? It can't possibly be for the reason that you weave a racing car.
No, I think he had that little bit of it off and got some dirt on the tyres, and I think he's just checking to make sure he's got the grip that he should have, and not the fact that he doesn't have any petrol. I'm sure that's not the case whatsoever, and he'll just be checking to make sure, he's already been off the circuit, he's been on the dirt, give it a little shake to make sure he's there, and he's still there. He's in 5th place, but
Tarquini,
a bit of mess of it.
That's a big mistake. Right front puncture. I think that's flat. That was definitely looking flat.
He's going a long way off, and it doesn't look as though it had a back screen in there. Right, looks like the rear windscreen had gone out of that car.
He was so close behind Giovanardi coming down the hill. I was about to point out, look how much he's right up behind Giovanardi, just to say, I could have won this, and you know it, and I know it. And there's debris all over the track.
That's another tyre gone.
That's Farfus.
That's Farfus, and it's falling apart for Alfa Romeo.
But not Giovanardi. And now, that's the kind of stroke of luck that you really need. But Tarquini and Farfus, both with burst tyres.
And we've seen in warm-up that Tarquini had the same problem. There's the checker flag. On the last lap, we lost 2 of the Alfa Romeos.
So Giovanardi wins it from Thompson in 2nd place. 3rd, big smoke from Giovanardi's car as well. Monica Sips, hello, where's the rest of my cars? Giovanardi, what's he doing on the grass on the slowdown lap? he can't have a tyre going down as well. 2 right front punctures on the last lap from 2. It's like you're driving McLarens. The same, Williams is the same puncture on the same lap. So let's have a look again. You could probably have heard Farfus's tyre blowing from the grandstands. I think it obviously went instantly and dramatically.
And we did see all the bits of rubber flying off it at the time, and he's trying to get himself back to the finish to cross the line. He needs to cross the line to get a finish. Once he's done the line, there we are.
Tarquini, same deal.
Exactly the same thing.
Damage, never mind damage. Get it to the line.
Across the line, both cars have been told to get across the line, park it. Once it's done there, they will then get the cars into the pit lane. They'll be able to fix them in time.
Oh my goodness me! Hannay! 3 right front punctures. How many more are there out there?
That's not good for the front-wheel drive cars.
I tell you what, though, Bart Mampai, Charlie Lamb and the rest will be going on the radio going, hey boys, the front-wheel drive cars are blowing tyres left, right and centre. But Giovanardi, there is a stroke of luck. Maybe, just maybe, being out front and not having to use too much curb or anything else has just saved his tyres. But then Tarquini wasn't under threat, nor was Farfus. Genet certainly worked very hard indeed. Don't forget, with Gabrielli's punchy this morning in the warm-up, we thought we saw very big cuts down the sidewall. There's Genet stomping off as well. Very unimpressed with that. And I tell you what, it's going to be a bit more than tank tape. Mind you, half that car is tank tape. Look at the front of that. So that's where he slammed across the tyre barriers this morning. The right-hand side of that car's taken a pasting today, front and rear.
But these 2 cars, it'll be fit a front wing onto it, tape it to the bumper because the bumper brackets things have gone, fit a new wheel onto it, make sure it's done no more damage underneath to the suspension, and then get them back out for the second race. But there you see the 3 cars across line and parked up. But here's the results.
Tell you what, that is 10 busy minutes for those mechanics. Oh, they'll be loving that. Giovanardi and Thompson, Prio incredibly on the podium, Garcia 4th, Rydell, Zanardi, Tarquini and Farfus on pole. I told you it was too early to give all the points to Giovanardi. Tarquini will be on the outside of the front row. See, I was right all along. Dirk Muller 9th. I wonder how close he was at the line. Alemenu 10th. Carl Rosenblad, top independent, ahead of Giuseppe Ciro. Mark Enrici, despite that spin on the independents podium as well. And Tommy Coronel, all at sea. 5 laps down, he didn't even finish the race. Well, drama indeed here, but it's a win for Giovanardi, and for him, that's all that matters. Well, what a dramatic race here to open the World Touring Car Championships visit to Turkey. Look at that, 2 Alfa Romeos in the final couple of corners blowing right front tyres, and so too did the Seat Leon of Hodi Genet. 3 of our top 10 going into the final lap, crawling across the line, but bizarrely, Tarquini and Farfus, despite punctures, raced at, well, as unabated speed as they could to the line, and will start race 2 from the front row. They finished 7th and 8th, and they will start on, if they can start, from the front row of the grid. Okay, now, David Leslie, you're the man with the rule book head. What happens if they can't make the grid? Does anybody else get promoted, or is it just the front row is missing?
Is missing. It just remains empty, and on the second row will be the first 2 cars. It just means there's nobody in front of them, but they're just not that 20 feet further forward on the grid.
So Farfus, Tarquini row 1, Zanardi, Rydell row 2, Garcia, Prio row 3, and Thompson and Giovanardi row 4. Bad news for Prio that the Alphas are so close to him. Dirk Muller just outside that pole, grabbing 8th place in race 1. He's 9th, head of Menu. Row 6 will be Rosenblad and Ciro, but further back, Nicola Larini after his best qualifying for Chevrolet. Tom Coronel struggling, Ortelli didn't finish, Terting didn't finish. But the championship, look, Andy Prio now leads 74 points. He's 5 ahead of Muller. Giovanardi makes the big gain on 10 points. He comes up to 67. Garcia stays ahead of Rydell and Thompson. That tyre's broken. Jörg Muller drops further down the order as well. But there is a change of leader and no 10th new winner, but Fabrizio Giovanardi is now the winningest driver this year. He's now got 4 race wins to 3 for Dirk Muller. BMW 204 points for Alfa Romeo's 182. Still, that, I think, like the driver's trophy, the manufacturer's trophy will not be awarded until we get to Macau at the earliest. Now, a lot of lifting and separating here. They've got to get the flatbeds to move 3 cars, basically just over the pit wall to the left of the shot, or just out of the left of the shot as you look at it there, as they get ready for the first podium of the weekend. Well, we were hoping for some entertaining racing. Didn't really prove that much entertainment at the front, with the 4 Alfa Romeos just kind of shuffling and then clearing off. But there was some good action further back, and then drama right at the end. I thought the Ashes was exciting in the dying moments. Will Touring Cars has it beaten? Let's have a look back then at the highlights of race 1. Talk you through it. Well, Alfa Romeo and Seat had proved dominant at the front of the race. As the Alfas cleared off, though, there was plenty of sorting out behind. Rob Huff and Mark Enrici tangling. Alex Zanardi passing Andy Prio. Position shuffling from the Alfas. Ortelli had a torrid race in the independent Seat that qualified 5th. Dirk Muller having a tough time. Jörg Muller, his teammate, retired. And it looked like an Alfa red wash. At least till the final couple of corners. All going well for Giovanardi, but a blow-up for Tarquini and Farfus. See them drop down the order, but they'll start at the front in race 2. At least if they can start, David Leslie, they'll start at the front in race 2, but I'm not necessarily sure that that's going to be absolutely guaranteed. You can see more cars being craned in. Is that Peter Terting's car? No, we saw him in the pits, didn't we?
We did. We can't see why that
finished the race.
We know Rydell finished quite well up there. He's on the top 8. And we don't know who the other... Well,
it's not... that'll be Tom Coronel's car that didn't finish. There you go. Yeah. That'll be Tommy Coronel's car.
They've got to get all these cars back there. They've got time to get them back there before they start work on them, because they've got like a 5-minute period to try and get all the cars back. And then once that's done, then they'll start work on them. We've got 15 minutes in which to work on them, turn them around and get them back out and onto the circuit ready for the second race. So there's time to get that work done, as long as the guys with the trucks are quite quick and get them there. We noticed that they're on hard standing, the trucks this time, and not on the gravel trap as they were this morning for the GT race, so they should be fine.
So Carl Rosenblad, the Independence winner, joins our top 3 on the podium. Here's the national anthem of the winner. Quick burst. Fabrizio Giovanardi becomes the winningest driver of the championship, as he claims win number 4 this season, and we're only on round 15 of the championship. We've had 9 different winners. So Giovanardi 39 at the end of this year, and still very much in his prime. 6 touring car championships he's won with Monica Sipp's team, and he's hoping to add the World Championship to become a 7th. Andy Prio 3rd, that's James Thompson taking the trophy for 2nd, with Mauro Sips alongside, who with the wife Monica runs the N-Power stroke Auto Delta stroke Alfa Romeo racing team, as it is called this year. And there's Fabrizio Giovanardi on the top step of the podium, our race 1 winner here. So after a big early summer race of a run of successes, where he scored enormously in about 6 straight races, Giovanardi then fell out of luck a little. 0 points in both races at Oschersleben last time out, but he's back to his winning ways. Carl Rosenblad taking the Independence Trophy. Just over on the right, Mr. Cameraman, there it is. So another good run from the Crawford racing man, David. He has his ups and downs, doesn't he? But he's having a good, consistent summer this season, I think.
Yes, he's getting on quite well. He never looks as though he's always up there, but he is scoring points most of the time, and that's making quite a big difference to him within the actual championship, because he's lined 3rd in the Independence Trophy, is Carl Rosenblad. That will help his points a little bit, because Tom Cornell didn't finish, and Henrique had a bit of a problem further back.
Well, he was 29 behind Tom coming here, so that's 19 now, and he was 25 behind, 20 behind Coronel, so that's 10. He was 25 behind the race leader, so that's 15 now. I think Henrici did finish and did score, so he will have closed that gap a little less, but now only 10 points between him and Tom Coronel. So yeah, a very important day for him, I think, if he can get another good result. And of course he's not affected like the others in the independents aren't by being in the inverted grid. Unfortunately he couldn't make it up to 8th, but that would have given him a bit of a entertaining run, wouldn't it?
Carl's just been one of these people that scored all the time. He didn't score in the first race meeting at all at Monza, but after that he's scored in every single event. He has actually won one other race, which he managed to win at the second race at Magny-Cours. But, you know, he's thereabouts, and with a good result today, he'll be looking for some more points.
Here's our race winner, though, Fabrizio Giovanardi.
Fabrizio Giovanardi, a quite exciting race towards the end there, and you are obviously now ahead of Dirk Muller with 2 points, and just behind Andy Priaulx. A very good result, but was there a slight team strategy?
No, not at all. My car in the warm-up was really fast. I make the best setup for this race, and we win. So I'm really sorry for my teammate that in the last lap they lost points, and so I'm really happy because the team Alfa Romeo works really good and all the team works good.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was just looking out the window. A pig flying past there, David. Here's James Thompson, a surprised second, I would have thought.
James Thompson, you must be quite relieved to be sitting here on the podium, because towards the end there, obviously, what happened to Gabriele and to Augusto. Were you worried as well that you were going to have a tyre puncture?
To be honest, no, because we haven't experienced anything like that all weekend, and the cars have been running absolutely fantastic, as you could tell by the race performance. And I just couldn't believe it when Gabriele went straight on. I thought initially he'd made a mistake, and then I looked in my rear view mirror and saw Augusto wasn't there as well. And it was only when I came on the coming in lap that I saw sort of tyre debris everywhere, and I'm absolutely gutted for the team, because it would have been great for the championship to close things up a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, certainly a 1, 2, 3, 4 is the sort of thing that Monica Sips lulls herself gently to sleep with at night, I think, but quite a remarkable turn of events. I wonder what Andy Priaulx's view of it was from behind. He must have wondered how many cars were going to still be standing at the line.
Andy Priaulx, this is obviously a great result for you, because Dirk Muller didn't mark any points, and it was quite a hairy race for everybody else. You must be very pleased.
Really pleased. Obviously, the 60 kilos is really hurting me this weekend. Obviously, not ideally suited to our car. We've got to work a little bit more on the setup, but a great result. We finished where we needed to finish. Obviously, it's going to be a tough second race, but I'm hoping that I can still score some points and see how it goes in Valencia, really. Can I just say hi to my family at home as well? Hi, guys. Hi, kids.
Thanks, Andy.
No, sorry, we don't do requests. Right, now we're going to see the Hello Mum caps coming out in the post-race interviews. Andy Priaulx then takes the championship lead here in Turkey, and he'll probably need as many points as he can in race 2 as they head to Alfa Romeo territory in Valencia next time out. We'll be back after this. Late arrival at the Mechanics' Ball, Gabriele Tarquini's number 2 car. Well, maybe it wasn't air hoses, maybe it was the rasp of tank tape being reeled off. Gabriele's car only just coming in through the back of the garage as the rest of the field, David Leslie, was heading out of the pit lane onto the grid.
That's right, they've only got a certain time to get these cars back out. We've said that before. This car just simply wasn't back in the pits when they wanted it, so they haven't had time to fit a new wing, which I suggested that they would do. So they've simply bolted a wheel on, they've got him back into the car, and they're going to send him to try and get him out of the pit lane before the pit lane closes.
Experienced World Touring Car race Rickard Rydell and youngster Peter Terting as Seat teammates, along with Hori Hune. It's close rivalry, but they seem pretty relaxed together.
So Peter, this is the first year for you at SEAT. How do you find the team?
Yeah, the team is really good. I feel me very well in this team, but only one guy, it's a little bit stressy. It's Rickard Rydell. It's not easy guy, but I try to give my best to work together with him.
So you really think that you have a chance to beat me in some races or not?
Yeah, I tried, and sometimes I show you I can beat you, but we will see what's happened here.
Race 1 in Oschersleben, Rydell and Terting door to door. In the end, Rickard takes second, Peter ends up down in fifth, but they've both won this year. He's only 21, says Rickard. He's injecting a lot of youth and fun into the team. He's actually quite a funny guy, always joking. I think the mix of age between Hoddy and me and Peter is a good thing for the team. I've been racing for a long while. I'm 37, he's 21. So there's quite a big difference in experience and approach as well. This season, Rickard Rydell was a race winner in Silverstone. Peter Terting won in Puebla in Mexico. But in the championship, Rickard is 6th. Peter Terting only 11th. I can certainly learn a lot from both my teammates Hoddy and Rickard, not only when it comes to racing, but everything else, how you deal with the press, how you deal with the pressure, everything. It's not about racing, it's about a package, and they are two of the best teachers around. Apple for the teacher from Peter Terting.
Do you like to work with so many guys? I mean, a racing team, there's just boys working. Would you not rather just work with women?
Yeah, I wish we have next season more women in our team, but I have to ask first Jaime, is it possible or not, but I wish. What are you doing? To make a small interview. No, it's not.
I'm the interviewer.
Journalist guy. Okay, then I go
Now that's scary. It's bad enough younger drivers taking your job without the boss coming along and offering to do the same. Cars on the grid, ready for round 16 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Welcome back live to Istanbul. Eurosport's coverage of the World Touring Car Championship continues. David Leslie pointing to the screen. There's a red car on the grid, quite incredibly, that of Gabriele Tarquini. And David Leslie, the story behind this, after a puncture at the end of the first race, they crossed the line on the track. Could they not have crossed the line in the pit lane?
No. That's not quite what they want you to do. They want you to cross the line on the track. It was much quicker for them to do that. To come in the pit lane would be very slow. To get all the way down to start and finish, you'd lose even more places. He wouldn't have finished in 8th place, which puts him on pole position for this race. No, he finished 7th actually, so it puts him on 2nd on the grid. So he needed to cross the line to get the time, to get the position. The car was late coming back, so they just put a tyre on it, sent it onto the grid. They knew they had 5 minutes sitting on the grid to do more work. So rather than do the work in the pit lane and not get out onto the circuit, they've got on the circuit, they know the car's not right. You can see more and more tape going on to try and erect a wing on there of some description or another. And somebody give him a wave and saying, you know, good luck.
I think that'll be Mauro Sips wishing him good fortune. But in fact, that is Fabrizio Giovanardi there.
So they're still working on Tarquini's trying to get that onto the get the suspension put right and the wheels on it. They've got to remember they have that finished and on the ground by a certain time, otherwise you get a drive-through penalty like James Thompson did last time out at Oschersleben because they didn't have the car on the ground in time. But that's the guy who won the first race.
In fact, of course, it's not. That is Augusto Farfus. The Brazilian colours should have told me that initially. That's Farfus on pole position, who came 8th after he too had a blowout at that downhill braking. I wonder if it's something about that last little bit. Are they maybe braking just with the wheel on the edge of the serration of the curbs every time? Or I don't know. Maybe it's just a factor of that particular bit of the corner. I mean, that's exactly where Tarquini went off this morning in the morning warm-up, and it's where his tyre blew. I mean, you actually saw the smoke as it blew when he hit the brakes there. It's an enormous brake from flat out in top gear down to second gear and 40, 50 miles an hour maybe. But, I mean, they haven't even had a chance really to have a good look at the suspension. I'm sure if they saw something awry, obviously awry, they would say, Gabriele, no, we can't fix it, you can't risk it. But there's got to be a worry right from the moment the race starts that the front wheel is just going to fall off the car, almost literally.
I'm pretty sure they'll have a good look under there. I mean, yes, it went bang and the tyre disintegrated and he came back with just the rim and 2 bits of sidewall stuck to the rim. It shouldn't have done too much damage to the suspension, depending on the flailing bits of tyre that came off, what damage they actually did to it. So I think it'll be okay, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't let him out there to do in excess of 200 kilometres an hour if the car wasn't right.
No, absolutely right. I'm sure they would do their very best not to. Alex Zanardi there, you saw third on the grid. This is Rickard Rydell, fourth place. The old boy at Seat. I'm sure he'll thank you for saying that, David. It won't have been me by the time he catches up with us about it, don't you worry. So the Swede, very experienced, spent an awful lot of his time, of course, racing in the UK. I think he's regarded as an honorary Brit, particularly because he seems to have inherited our sense of humour as well as our love of stodgy, cool food. Antonio Garcia lying in fifth position, and alongside him, Andy Prio. And Andy Prio starting sixth as a result of, instead of being fifth, which he was 3 corners from home, being third across the line, which he was at the end of the race. Lots and lots of people in the... do they have a corporate name for the colour? Chevrolet blue? I don't know what colour it is. It's not a Miami blue or something, but I'm sure there is a proper name for it. Lots and lots of Chevrolet colours again here. All the manufacturers really spending a lot of time and effort getting customers and employees of their local importers involved in coming to the races, supporting their teams, and really trying to use motorsport the way manufacturers really should be using it, to engender a love of the brand and a loyalty for the brand, and a sporting appeal as well. And that's something that Chevrolet at least have converted from their racing into their road car with the new project that the Ray Mallock Limited team are building alongside. Andy Prio there on the high altitude oxygen mask. Obviously found it a little bit hot in race one there.
Yes, I'm not sure what that was stuck on the front of his helmet. It's obviously some method of trying to get air to him to try and keep him cool, and obviously the cooler the driver is, the better he works, rather than being extremely hot. But
well, you can see a number of these cars. Here's James Thompson. He's got a hose leading from the mount of the wing mirror. There's a hole in the back of the wing mirror there. You can see that zooms air down that hose and blows it at the driver. Andy Prio and the team have obviously got an extra bit of hose going up to a funnel on his mask and tank tape that to the front of his helmet, so it doesn't blow it at the driver, but in fact straight into the helmet at him.
It's always much better for the driver to be cool. He'll work much more efficiently if he's cool and alert rather than hot and bothered. So the more cooling you can get to the driver, the better. And certainly when it's out here, where it's very warm in the afternoon, then it obviously it's hard work for these drivers. We've seen James Thompson when he finished the race. He looked very hot and sweaty indeed, and that's really not what you want to do when you get straight back into another race.
A man who's used to Knock Hill and Silverstone and Donington Park in a wet snet on a Wednesday, it's going to be a little warm out here, isn't it, in the Middle East. Dirk Muller then, well, just outside the points in race one in 9th place. A chance of scoring here, but we saw earlier on his teammate Jörg right at the very back of the grid again, as he was in race one. Very little chance of anything going right for him this weekend, I'm afraid, and that's the last 2 weekends have really put crippling kink in Jörg Muller's championship challenge. Imola wasn't exactly searing for him either. No points there, or at Puebla in Mexico. 4 straight races without a single point, and that's the kind of thing that shoots holes in any hope you might have had of anything. Augusto Farfus then, our pole sitter. To his left, to the camera's right, Gabriele Tarquini. Looking further down the order, you can see the yellow and white BMW of Mark Enrici, one of the top independents. Starts third in that class. Hello, Mum. There's the local equivalent of Andy Prio there, clearly waving home to the family. As well, they may not quite have sold as many seats as they did for the Formula One Grand Prix, but they've certainly got a good turnout here. After all, this is only the second international race ever in race weekend ever in Turkey. So it takes a while to educate the crowd and to teach them what it's all about.
Yes, it just, you know, they need to learn what motorsport's about. They've had motorsport for some time, but not at this level. And with this lovely new circuit, then you're getting all the really nice big championships coming along to the circuit. And there you can see. There we are. I'm on the big screen, Mummy. Daddy, look at me. Wave at me.
Well, it's like introducing Formula One to America. They're all going, and this is what exactly? Who are these people? You know, no matter how educated they are with motorsports per se, they still need to have some recognition to get into it. Cars about to go away on the warm-up lap here at Istanbul. Join us for live action from race 2 after this. Welcome live to Istanbul for round 16 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Cars on the formation lap, ready for the start of the second race in Turkey. And big question marks hanging over the Alfa Romeos, the cars that start first, second, seventh and eighth on the grid. They were running 1, 2, 3 and 4 in race 1 until 2 corners from home, when first Gabriele Tarquini and then sensationally his teammate Augusto Farfus had right front punctures in the final sequence of corners. They crawled across the line, the remnants of their tyres thrashing the bodywork in 7th and 8th, and they dominate the front row. But behind them, well, we have got Alex Zanardi's BMW, Ricard Rydell's Seat, and then 7th and 8th on the grid, James Thompson, who was second in race 1, and race 1 winner Fabrizio Giovanardi. New championship leader after the first race as well. Andy Prio scored for 3rd place. Dirk Muller, the man who came here leading him by just 2 points, did not score in 9th. So Prio now heads the championship. Giovanardi is closing and is clearly, from the way the cars were formed up by the team in race 1, the nominated Alfa Romeo championship hopeful. But with Farfus and Tarquini on the front row, both cars severely damaged by exploding tyres in race 1 on the right front corners. What does that mean for race 2? Will their cars survive? What about Giovanardi, the man who the team have chosen to be their front runner? How did he get away without a tyre failure? And did he have a clean set of tyres on the car for race 1, or were they worn tyres? All sorts of questions. They should all have fresh tyres on for race 2, so hopefully that shouldn't be a problem for the Alfa Romeos or anyone else. But for Monica Sips, the team boss, worrying times indeed. 24 cars on the grid. They should all be forming up. The safety car is ready behind them. We'll see the red lights go on. There was an extremely quick change to the start for race 1. The red lights are on. Away they go, another quick start. Let's see how the BMW of Andy Prio fares from 6th on the grid. And Alex Zanardi, can he get past? No, Zanardi dives in with Antonio Garcia behind him. Prio will be down in 7th place, so he's actually lost a place away from the grid. Very unusual for the BMWs. And here come the Alfa Romeos on board with Giovanardi. Thompson's already got by Prio. Giovanardi's right up behind our new championship leader. This is not looking good for the Guernseyman. Giovanardi right inside him, heading down the hill. It's Tarquini and Farfus leading from the 2 Ravaglia-run BMW Italia Spain BMWs. Well, hosts of Seats and Fords among the Chevrolets and the independents further back. But at the moment, it's Farfus from Tarquini on board again with Giovanardi, and they've got past Andy Prio. Well, David Leslie already, the Alfa Romeo, showing the sort of pace they demonstrated in race 1, but critically, the BMW's not starting well enough to even get past 2 Alfas in front of them. I was sure that Zanardi should have been a shoe-in for the first corner lead. Maybe the hand controls just don't allow him to get off the line quite as sharply as he'd like. And here comes the challenge from Rydell. He's trying to come back past Antonio Garcia, who got away from him at the start. Rydell back in 4th position in the Seat.
Yes, he made a good move there. He was quicker out of the corner beforehand and pulled over. And as much as Garcia tried to keep him back and try to block him, he was going through. And that's Garcia now with 2 Alfa Romeos right behind him. That'll be Giovanardi and Thompson really putting the pressure on now, because these Alfa Romeos, they know they're quick and they'll be wanting to get up there. And Farfus and Tarquini having a battle up front. Tarquini says, I'm in the pecking order now. I want to be at the front, and I'm going to be at the front until Giovanardi gets there. So they're having their own little push and shove battle, but there we are. It's Thompson trying to get past Garcia and having to just give way a little bit. So Thompson just ahead of Giovanardi at the moment.
Well, I think Giovanardi letting Thompson do the donkey work, lever everybody offline. Once Thompson gets inside, Giovanardi will get inside as well. And of course, the added bonus is that Garcia can't defend left and right as well as he can defend just one side. There is the 43 car of our erstwhile championship leader, Dirk Muller. Is he going to get a place back from Alain Menu? Yes, he is. So he moves up in front of Menu. Right behind them, top independent Giuseppe Ciro, whose BMW is looking as quick as any of the full proper BMWs, if you like, in front of him. The Schnitzer cars, the RBM Team UK car, or the Ravaglia BMW Italia Spain cars. But still, Giovanardi is right in here.
He was right behind Zanardi there, and I think that once Thompson got pushed out of the way, then Giovanardi said, well, OK, you've had a go, you can't make it, now I'll have a go, and he took that place over.
And Giovanardi isn't afraid to use the wing either to get by. Menu with Ciro inside him. Ciro's really all over the back of the Chevrolet.
Chevrolet now with a very big dent in the door as well from that contact with the independent Ciro.
It was Nicola Larini who got tagged by Mark Enrici in the first race and spun off at high speed. But did you see the way that Gabriele Tarquini shouldered his way past Augusto Farfus despite that damaged right front wing? He edged him out with tank tape there. I don't know what the Italian phrase, oi, out the way, but he was certainly using it. Rob Huff a little further back behind Mark Enrici. There's Andy Prio behind the Alfa Romeos and only just in front of Dirk Muller now. So it's going to be honest, pretty even between them, but Giovanardi is looking like the man most likely to reap the rewards here. Farfus having a look at Tarquini. I don't think that'll go down very well if he does. And between Garcia and Zanardi, still Ricard Rydell in fourth place. Alain Menu just ahead of Giuseppe Ciro. And it'll be annoying him that he can't stay with the group in front, and he has to worry about the pesky independent BMW in both his mirrors and halfway up his exhaust. So Tarquini not escaping from Farfus, but equally not being caught by Antonio Garcia in third place, or Zanardi rather in third. Antonio Garcia having a look at Rydell, but not able to get through. Ciro late inside Menu, and he somehow avoided the contact. Giuseppe Ciro got it turned in even tighter. And he had a big slide as a result. Well, that's pressure off Menu for a lap or two anyway, or half a lap or two anyway. So out front, Gabriele Tarquini. Now, can Tarquini add to his winning tally here? Only one win so far. First race at Silverstone he inherited after Andy Prio's tyre let go.
And there's a real battle here for third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh, and Ricard Rydell in the middle of the two Alfa Romeos there.
Well, 5 cars in it. This is Ricard's view. We've got a camera in the middle of that as well with Giovanardi. And Giovanardi's got to avoid trouble. He wants to work his way through. He's very good at using traffic and manipulating his way through traffic. And this Alfa Romeo is not hanging around into the low, late afternoon sun. Don't forget, for Northern European viewers, closer to the equator means days are shorter, sun is lower. And Giovanardi gets by, Thompson rather, gets by.
So Rydell's been pushed out of that top group now to the back of the group. He'll be very unhappy about that, but he'll not give up fighting, I'm sure, till the very end. And seeing what happened at the end of the first race, then there's no reason to give up, because all of a sudden you could suddenly pick up places even on the last lap.
Yeah, you might be able to see the fat lady, but until you hear her, nothing's done. Giovanardi down the inside of both BMWs. Oh, and he's got them as well. Garcia's turned round. He didn't get ahead of Zanardi, but that was Zanardi's camera we were using to look back, and Giovanardi came by like he'd accidentally lost the brake pedal. Here we go, down the inside. Boink, outbraked himself. Now, good thinking by Zanardi. Let him go, stood on the brakes, turned back inside him. Unfortunately, Garcia was the fall guy, but luckily for Giovanardi, Garcia was there. Otherwise, he'd have gone straight off.
That's right, he was going way too quick. There he is, down the inside. Can't get it turned whack into
He wasn't
Garcia.
going too quick at all. He knew exactly what he was doing. I don't think you give him enough credit, David. He knew exactly what he was doing there. That wasn't me playing on a PlayStation. That was a driver who's used moves like that for the last decade and knows how they work. And there's Garcia paying the penalty for being T-boned. So, Now then, does Giovanardi get excluded from the results for a move like that later on, I wonder?
I can't see that happening somehow, but let's see what we've got.
Results from Spa would suggest that he should do. Ortelli out of the race. Looks like he's got some overheating issues. Everybody else, I think, is probably running a little close to the temperature margins as well. Andy Prio, let me just rub my eyes. Yes, being annoyed by Alan Menu from behind. Well, Andy said they were going to make some setup changes to the car. They can screw that piece of paper up and throw it in the bin then, can't they? Because he is being left behind by the front runners and is being harassed by a Chevrolet. Looking back again from Zanardi, and now looking forward at Zanardi from Giovanardi. Oh, this is easily close enough to make a move. Facetious, moi. Now then, Dirk Muller has moved up the order and is ahead of Andy Prio, and that shows how badly Prio's having a time of it, how bad a time Prio is having of it at the moment, because Dirk Muller is in the points and Andy is not now. Yellow flags are out. Is that from Garcia's car last lap? I think it probably is. Oh dear. Giovanardi's outbraked himself and Thompson has been obliged to go through. So Tarquini clearing off, Farfus facing backwards and rear gunnering. Zanardi still third. James Thompson fourth ahead of Giovanardi. Yes, no, yes, still. I don't think Giovanardi went through there. Hard to see in the sun. Sixth then, Dirk Muller. And just as we were about to see that Andy Prio had gone down to eighth, quick look at Stefan Ortelli. Baptism of fire continues in World Touring Car Championship. So Dirk Muller with Ricard Rydell all over the back of him, and Giovanardi, quelle surprise, finds an easy route past the inside of James Thompson. Wow, all action here, and still more than half the race left. Dirk Muller, Ricard Rydell chasing the two Alfa Romeos, or with the two Alfa Romeos, David, although Tarquini and Farfus have cleared off. There's a very good battle going here. It seems if you can engage the Alphas, it's a little harder for them to escape, except now, of course, James Thompson will be running at 99.9% of capacity, whereas Giovanardi will have shifted into overdrive and be running at 110% of capacity. Thompson will be doing his very best to hold off Dirk Muller for the rest of the race in loyal teammate mode that he's been used by Alfa Romeo for the last 2 seasons, to allow Giovanardi to try and escape from the man who led the championship coming here and try and close the gap to the BMW drivers who stand atop the points. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Round 16 of the World Touring Car Championship at Istanbul, and this is Fabrizio Giovanardi being passed by Dirk Muller. So Giovanardi's chances of getting away from the BMW drivers who were behind him but ahead of him in the points seem to have disappeared in the last lap. James Thompson is still in front, but it must have been a mistake from Giovanardi that's dropped him down behind Dirk Muller, and now Andy Prio sees some sniff here, because Muller and Giovanardi and Prio are the top 3, the only 3 realistically likely to win the championship. Prio in the red, white and blue BMW behind Ricard Rydell, following this car, Rydell in the Seat. And they are all just struggling around at the bottom of the points. Gabriele Tarquini leads from Augusto Farfus, miles away now. What, blimey, 3.5 seconds back is Alex Zanardi in third. Fourth, James Thompson. Fifth, Dirk Muller. Sixth, Fabrizio Giovanardi. Seventh, Ricard Rydell. Eighth, Andy Prio. Then ninth, Alan Menu, the thorn in Andy's side at the moment. The Oxford-based Swiss. On board with Giovanardi.
Yeah, Giovanardi's obviously, while we were away at that break, had a mistake somewhere and dropped that position to James Thompson, and James has sort of cleared off and left them. And he's leaving Dirk Muller and Giovanardi to fight it out between themselves. They're obviously second and third in the championship, and they'll be quite happy to be where they are, because first in the championship points is right, well, not right behind them, but 2 places, but more than 2 places behind now.
Oh, now he's been passed by Menu, so he's out of the points now, Andy Prio, and that's going to be very, very important. He must get by the Chevrolet, because he can't rely on all the Alphas blowing tyres at the end of the race. He's now got Giuseppe Ciro, the privateer, behind him as well. And we saw what a tough time he was giving the factory cars in the opening laps of the race. Looks like he's giving Andy's car just as tough a time of it as well.
Yeah, Andy was right on the back of the Seat of Rickard Rydell, and then I'm not sure what happened, whether Menu sort of went down the inside or somehow or another managed to make a pass on him. But it certainly split Andy away from Rickard Rydell's Seat. Had he still been stuck on the back of that, then it would be a good place to be to simply watch what's going on. But up front, we've got Tarquini out front with Farfus following him. Again, a very decisive display by the Alfa Romeos.
Here comes Farfus. This is where Tarquini eased his way past him last time. Well, earlier in the race, not last time round. There's Garcia in third, Thompson in fourth, Dirkmuller fifth, Giovanardi sixth, seventh Rydell in the Seat. In eighth place is Alain Menu in the Chevrolet, which is good news for them, another point. Ninth place, Andy Prio. Well, now Dirkmuller didn't score in race one. Giovanardi scored big time in race one with a win. Andy Prio at least limited that damage by Fabrizio by being third in race one. He's got little chance at the moment. He's out of the points and he needs to get back. He must get back in. Alex Zanardi, third place. Great onboard shots with all the hand controls on his car. And after a win in race two at Oschersleben, from third on the grid, I really fancied he might have had a chance of at least leading this race from the two Alfa Romeos in front of him. But David, two very quick changes at the start in race one and race two, and I think that time Zanardi just wasn't quick enough with the gun, and the Alphas got away right from the start.
That's right, and there's nothing to do to touch them, because all week they've been very quick here. They've been on top of the timesheets majority of the time, and certainly when it matters, when it comes to qualifying, when they were 1, 2, 3 and 4, and it looked like they were going to have a clean sweep in the first race until they got their tyre punctures. So there's no guarantees between these two cars, who both had punctures in the first race, that they're going to get to the end of this race in first and second place. And it's very much, you've really got to wait until that checkered flag falls to be sure that this is what's going to happen. But you can see there in third is Zanardi, fourth is James Thompson, fifth is Dirkmuller. He's pulled away now from Giovanardi. Then you've got Rydell, then you've got Menu, then you've got Prio, and Giuseppe Ciro is next up behind Andy Prio. But that Chevrolet's got a few dents in the side of it as well, so
and the back.
Alain Menu's been
roof looks clean,
fairly aggressive in trying to get that point for Chevrolet. Chevrolet have scored 1 or 2 odd points this year, finishing in sort of 7th and 8th place.
45 they've got so far this year, a grand total, and of course that includes big points in Puebla in Mexico in the first race, but still 45 points compared to the 193 of manufacturers leaders BMW shows you just how hard it has been for them to get in. With 4 Alphas, with 5 good front-running BMWs, never mind 4 Seats. I mean, the top 8 points don't go very far among the manufacturers, do they?
No, they don't. They're all fighting very hard for them out there. But, you know, Chevrolet have got their first points of the season. They want to try and be up there more on a regular basis, even if it is only 7th and 8th, but scoring those 1 and 2 points that matters.
Race leader Gabriele Tarquini, right behind him Augusto Farfus Jr. Tarquini of course started on pole for race 1, but because of the way Alfa Romeo team orders, because of the way the team is uniquely funded, as they like to say on other broadcasters, Tarquini was asked to shuffle Fabrizio Giovanardi to the front, which he duly did, and would have finished second if his tyre hadn't blown on the very last lap of race 1. As a result, he finished in 8th place and ended up, or 7th place, ended up on the front row of the grid. But Alex Zanardi here in 3rd place started race 1, let me see, on row 8 of the grid. So he was 17th on the grid, and 15th on the grid rather, and 1.7 seconds slower in qualifying than the man who's, what, 3 seconds ahead of him on the road at the moment, Gabriele Tarquini. Qualifying is quite a useful indicator sometimes but it doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the race, because at 1.7 seconds a lap, Tarquini should almost be lapping it, well, not quite, but be out of sight long since.
Well, sometimes what happens is that things go wrong in qualifying. We've seen that. We obviously, looking at Zanardi now, we see obviously didn't have the right setup on the car, or it wasn't working the way he wanted it. People like Robert Huff, for instance, who didn't even get a time in qualifying because something went wrong, and you had to start at the back for the first race. So, you know, things do go wrong in qualifying, things don't always go the way you want them to. Obviously, Zanardi had that problem, but certainly in the races, he's got his act together and he's going extremely well. I'm really happy that having won the last race at Oschersleben, that he's right back up there, and it looks as though if he can keep it going for another couple of laps, that he will be on that podium again.
Last lap, Monica again, the nervous fingering of the rings there. She is not the heartless cynic that people occasionally make her out as. She's not cynical and heartless. She's a very good team boss. Now the Garcia Giovanardi crash being explored by the authorities. That, you'll remember, is where Giovanardi came from somewhere in the previous county down the inside of Zanardi, and Antonio Garcia overshot Zanardi and was mercifully retarded from going off into the catchment area by the presence of Antonio Garcia's BMW, which subsequently failed to go any further. Well, that will be for later on. Giovanardi currently 6th and on the way to a few points, but it's Gabriele Tarquini who's going to win this race from Augusto Farfus. Halfway around the last lap, last chance for Farfus to come down the inside, and he is. And then saying, okay, I'll let you win this, but I could have passed you. You know it, and I know it, but I don't want to get fired just yet. Zanardi in 3rd place, and yes, David, very good to see him there, because it does prove that this fly-by-wire throttle they've been trying to make work, that they've replaced at Oschersleben with a proper cable throttle from his hand controls, is much better for him. No. Farfus coming down the inside the final time.
Yeah, he's going for it.
Now that is absolute insanity. Farfus too far behind Tarquini in the points. Well, only 5 behind. Tarquini will be absolutely livid. Last lap move then. Farfus sensationally will take this one, or will he? No, I wonder if there was just a slight bit of radio traffic there. Just possibly. Monica Sips doesn't look too unimpressed anyway. Very happy, the man in 3rd place. Never mind the political infighting and the polemics going on in front. Never mind the flapping tank tape. The man in 3rd place, Alex Zanardi, very pleased. A win last time out. Tied up the Italian Super Touring Championship last weekend in between World Touring Car duties, and now on the podium again in race 2. It proves that he is now a front-running contender. His car is where he wants it, and Alex is definitely in the zone. But, Giuseppe Ciro and Ricard Rydell was that? Last lap, Giuseppe Ciro. Does that mean that Andy Prio will finish in the points? Can't possibly tell you, because our timing screen hasn't worked since lap 2 of race 1. But the winner then, Gabriele Tarquini. That'll be the guy in the number 2 car, director. And Augusto Farfus in the number 7 car in 2nd position. 3rd place, Alex Zanardi. And there is Tarquini's car. The tank tape special.
You have to say the mechanics did a fantastic job on the start line to turn that car around. And,
well, sensational. I mean, very, very good heads-up teamwork to get him, when the car was pushed back through the garage, get in, get a tyre on, get out of the garage before the pit lane shuts, and they only just made it by probably seconds. So they were very, very well rehearsed on what they were going to do to get him onto the grid and then fix it if they could. Well, last lap, last big braking area. Farfus down the inside of Tarquini. Through the corners, last left-hander onto the straight. And Farfus runs out onto the curbs and, but gear selection problem there. Just lets Tarquini take it at the line. Quelle surprise. So there's your top 3, ladies and gentlemen. James Thompson taking 4th. Dirk Muller in 5th, Fabrizio Giovanardi with points in 6th, Ricard Rydell 7th, Alan Menu in 8th. Out of the points, the man who took the championship lead after race 1, 9th for Andy Prio. A very bad race for him. Testing times indeed. He started from 7th on the grid, should have had a chance from 6th on the grid, should have had a chance to move up, certainly at the start, if not earlier, but in fact struggled and eventually just slipped back down out of the points. Ahead of Peter Terting, Mark Enerici, the top independent, after Giuseppe Ciro's last lap clash with what I'm assuming must have been Peter Terting. And Zanardi delighted with his 2nd podium in 2 World Championship weekends. Top 3 in the collecting area. Race winner Gabriele Tarquini, Augusto Farfus in the centre. On the right, Alex Zanardi, who was 3rd, and behind them the BMW of top independent, Mark Enerici. Well, Farfus took the lead from Tarquini into the final couple of corners, but Tarquini ahead at the line, despite which Farfus' team congratulating him like some kind of homecoming hero. Well, Tarquini rewarding his boys for all the hard work to get him onto the grid at all after that dramatic tyre failure in race 1 by taking victory. David Leslie, that was the skin of their teeth. They got him through the pits once the car got back at the end of, after the 10-minute repair period. They only just had time to get him out of the pits with no work done except for putting a new tyre on it, and that was very, very quick work by them. Saved their bacon.
It was a very good decision by whichever engineer was in charge. Just get the car onto the circuit, put a wheel on it, get some tape on it, and then we'll sort it when we're on the circuit, because they had about 5 minutes once they're actually on the circuit to do any work they wanted to. Exactly what they did, jacked it up again, took the wheel off, dived underneath to make sure everything was all right, used even more and more red tape to tape that wing up, and did a very good job. Even the tape was flapping a little bit towards the end of the race, but that was nothing compared to the amount of work that those boys did to get that car back onto that circuit. So there we see the complete results all the way through. That's the points.
There they are. 1 point lead now for Andy Prio over Dirk Muller. Fabrizio Giovanardi 4 off the lead. And how many is Gabriele Tarquini off the lead?
He's got 55, is Gabriele.
See, now, I said at the beginning of the race weekend, it's too early to count him out. He scored 3 points, 2 points less than Giovanardi this weekend.
Gabriele Tarquini, a bit of a shame in the first race, but an amazing repair time. So I imagine you're very happy to be here, not only on the podium, but to have won. And I guess you would like to say thank you to your mechanics.
Yeah, they make a really good job, because the car come back into the garage 4 minutes after the red lights, so before the red lights. So they make an incredible time to refueling the car, to change tires, to give me the chance to restart on the second race.
Now, also during the second race, it wasn't so easy to overtake Augusto Farfus, and you had contact at one moment. And also, what happened at the end?
Yeah, at the end, just after 3 or 4 laps, we slowed down to save the tire, because on the first race we broke the front right. So for this reason, we try to make a good pace, but enough to join the podium, but not very strong to destroy the tire.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what happened? That's one for the debriefing room afterwards, I think. Gabriele Tarquini, though, our winner in race 1 after drama in race 2. The man who started race 2 on pole, though, was Augusto Farfus. Did I say race 1 winner Tarquini? Race 2 winner, of course, is what I meant to say.
Augusto Farfus Jr. now fighting very hard with Gabriele Tarquini throughout the race. And tell us why at the end you overtook, and then it looked like you braked for Gabriele to then take the lead again.
I felt a vibration like I felt in the first race, so I was scared to blow the tire, and then I slowed down immediately, because otherwise the tire was blow. So I cooled down and Gabriele overtook me. But I think for Alfa Romeo was a quite good weekend. We dominate all practice, qualifying, warm-up, and both races. So I think for us, after the first unlucky race, in the second race we grow up again, and we are again on the podium.
Thank you.
So That vibration thing always happens when you drive over the curves, doesn't it? In his defence, he may well have felt a sudden vibration, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But
I think the vibration would be in his ears when Monica was telling him what to do.
Yeah, just possibly. I don't know. Maybe it's a crackling on the radio. Who can tell? All these things will be discussed probably at some degree of length later. But there you go. Look, vibrating his way over the rumble strips, back down into second position. So Tarquini is the full guy, the fullback, really, isn't he? He had to score better than Farfus there.
Alessandro Zanardi, first podium victory in Oschersleben, another one here. Can we see you on all the time on the podium now?
I don't know, I thought Oschersleben was a dream and nobody woke me up this weekend, so I better keep sleeping, you know, because it's so good as a dream.
You look very happy, but also tired. I imagine it's it's difficult, especially on a new circuit. It was hot today, and physically it must be very difficult and challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to sweat more than other drivers because of my personal problems, and of course for me this one was a very demanding race, but nevertheless, you know, the adrenaline was driving me, and I was very, very pleased for the team that worked so hard for the last year and a half, and the entire BMW team, Italy, Spain, is dreaming with me, you know. So we let it go until it stays that way, you know. We're not gonna set any alarm to wake up.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, Garcia and Zanardi really on top form here. Garcia didn't finish race one because he got brusquely punted off by Giovanardi, for which there may be later repercussions, and again that might affect the championship. But for Alex Zanardi, well, I tell you what, BMW Italia Spain having a great weekend here. Not so Schnitzer. 4 points they scored out of a possible 40 for their drivers. So, Tarquini taking the lead from Farfus. Hello, hello, that's me coming down the inside in the Tang Tape Special. Gabrielli is the standby if things go pear-shaped for Giovanardi. And perhaps no surprise that Farfus was told probably very firmly and fairly loudly over the radio out of the final corner that Gabrielli was the race winner. Despite Farfus's late race pass in the final corner and his protestations of feeling a potential puncture here, severe vibration, I think there'd be no doubt that that's what the team would have preferred to see. So, an interesting weekend. We came here with Dirk Muller as the championship leader, narrowly from Andy Prio, and Prio leads by 1 instead of trails by 2. The big winner here has been Giovanardi. Well, 2 big winners, really. If you say Alex Zanardi, of course, was a big winner too. But I would have thought that perhaps the championship is looking even more entertaining now, with 4 races remaining, 2 race weekends, 2 races at Valencia, where we know front-wheel drive cars last year absolutely creamed the rear-wheel drive cars, and Alfa Romeo took 1, 2, 3, 4 in both races. And then to Macau, where the shoe may well be on the other foot in terms of rear drive versus front drive. We have a very tight championship. Zanardi, Farfus and Tarquini on the top of the podium. Our top 3 in race 1. They'll be in race 2. They'll be joined by Mark Enrici, but David Leslie, championship is looking very entertaining now.
Yeah, it's getting closer and closer. It was stretched out a little bit in the middle of the season, but with the changes around that we've had in the last 2 weeks, we've only got 4 points separating the top 3.
So Gabriele Tarquini then, the standby option for Monica Sips there on the left. Husband Mara was up last time to collect the team trophy, and she is taking it this time. Look, all smiles between her and Augusto Farfus. That's because he did what he was asked, and Tarquini won it. But Alex Zanardi, well, what a weekend he had in Oschersleben with a win in race 2. He won the Italian Super Tourism Championship with one race remaining last weekend. And still, it continues. He's feeling on top of the world here, clearly, with another podium in 2 World Touring Car Championship weekends. Gabriele Tarquini takes the winner's trophy. Well, Fabrizio Giovanardi ruining what might have been. Couldn't work his way through the field enough, but he did get points for 6th, and that means he leaves here just 3 slender points from the championship lead. So 3 points cover the top 3 drivers, and 18 cover the top 4. And from those 2 BMW drivers, Prio and Dirk Muller, and 2 Alfa drivers, Giovanardi and Tarquini, we will surely crown our champion in 4 races' time. Next time out, first weekend of October in Valencia, and then end of November before we get to the street race at Macau. Don't forget, World Touring Car Mag with all the highlights and behind-the-scenes information during the middle of the week. We'll see you next time out from Valencia, the weekend of October the 1st and 2nd. See you then.